Okay, here we go. Time for our second playthrough of the day. We've got Linda Del Mar by Scottish67. So we're gonna play pin three. Um, he says any direction, maybe add some wind from the default setting, so we bumped it up to medium. A Mackenzie-inspired course with some open sightlines and minimal planting in the playing corridors except for trees. Okay. So based on what I've seen, it seems like this is sort of like a it's supposed to be a California Mackenzie style course. We saw Jay Colick had a similar one with Escondita. Um, so we'll see how this one plays compared to that one. All right, glad you can stick around for the second one, Jay. So whereas Dark Horse South was very much kind of a Delta Island, lots of natural planting. This is a much more, I guess you'd say, traditional California course. So you can see from the bunkering here, very with all the fingers and jagged edges, going for the kind of the old Mackenzie style. Yeah, and he made it looks like he made a deliberate choice not to do a whole lot of planting. We'll see how that looks because I think if you look at the planting on Colick's course, that was really good. I don't want to just say, oh, we've got to compare those two in every aspect, but it's hard to avoid. But yeah, you can see the trees off to the left there. There's no planting in between them. But otherwise, we've got very generous fairway. It looks like there's another hole coming the other direction, so it's a shared fairway. But you got all the room in the world to bail right, but you'll have a lousy angle. I think we're into the wind, so I think we'll be okay if we play left. But you can see all the layering of the bunkers there off in front of us. Yeah, I know. I can sometimes be a little negative on these playthroughs, but I realize that people probably want me to pick out things and stuff. Okay, so this green is quite shallow, especially for a hole of this length. Although I guess we're playing from the black tees, aren't we? And I believe that was what he asked us to play from. Yeah, okay, so we're from the right set of tees. All right, so we just kind of played a middle iron into the middle of the green. Yeah, back right shelf. It does have a bit of a bull, but it definitely, not. I don't know for a hole this long, an opening hole. It's not like you can actually get an angle to this, right, without hitting it into the trees. So maybe give this slightly less of an L shape. I don't know. Um, but yeah, the bunkering looks good. Yeah, it's like, this planting over here looks really good. It seems like I'm just kind of a little curious why we don't see more of it, throughout the rest of the hole. I mean, I'm not saying you got to put it everywhere. Um, and I do think it's generally good to focus more of your planting around the tees and the greens, since that's where everyone's going to see it. Okay, easy two putt par. That sight line there was good. Okay, so now we got a par three, kind of a medium length par three over a nest of big amoeba shaped bunkers. Pretty much all carry. So we need to carry it about 173. I don't think this is going to make it unless we get a fast. Yeah, I think we'll just play safe here. Yeah, I feel like I would have loved this lighting on Collick's course. Okay, so the green's kind of got that front right, little compartment, and then I just bailed long, and now I've got a downhill putt to deal with. The sculpting at the front left of the green there does look a little awkward. You've got this kind of weird confluence of the slopes. Like you've got that back to front yellow slope in front of the cup, and then it goes into another yellow slope going in the opposite direction. I think just smoothing that out would be good. I mean, it's a minor nitpick, but you know, when you're differentiating among awesome courses, you have to nitpick. Okay, so we got a bunch of cypress trees. And they're a little spaced out, maybe. Like I think Ben mentioned this on some of the Dream Team courses on his playthroughs, where if you get when you just have like kind of single trees like regularly spaced out in a line, it looks pretty unnatural. Okay, so I think we're gonna run out of fairway if we go left here, but we should be able to make the carry on the right. So what is it that we gotta carry? We gotta carry that big bunker, so I think that would be this one. Yep. And it gave me a 3-wood. Damn it. Oh, idiot. The bunkers look really nice here, though. The sculpting is not easy to pull off with this style. Obviously, if I just kind of blew it right, I'd probably have an awkward angle to some of the pins, but, you know, presumably with a pitch shot as well, so I might have been punished if I did that. Okay, we kind of got away with it. So you got a false front here. I'd maybe spread the fairway out there on the left a bit. Just give the front of the green a little more breathing room. Oh, we kind of got like a bow tie green here. So I might have maybe try extend that bunker. If you're gonna shape your green this way, maybe extend the bunker into that negative space a little more. But kind of a two-tiered green. You can see there's that little spot for a pin in the little narrow neck. Got a nice gathering point there of a couple greens. Okay, and the housing is set well back from the playing corridor, which is something I generally appreciate if I'm playing a course in real life. Okay, so this is kind of a pinched-in landing area, 584. It's well downhill though, so I think we can, even with these clubs, we might have a shot at getting there in two. If we can hit the fairway. But we can't, so we're left to deal with these big bunkers. And I don't think we're going to clear those. And we ran out of fairway. Okay, so you got this big kind of mound with some bunkers built into it. Um, I think that makes a very pretty second shot. I mean, it looks like the approach to the green here is really roly-poly and kind of rumpled, but I don't feel like any of the other fairway contours have been that way. We'll get another look at it when we're on the green, but maybe slightly incongruous. Well, we after two garbage shots, we have a shot at birdie. Yeah, so it looks to me like these hummocks were deliberate, but I think it just needs a little bit of smoothing out. Obviously, you look at like 8 at Augusta National, Mackenzie certainly deployed things like this, because I think that's probably the punishment for bailing left. Um, but like that one right there that I've got in the middle of the camera here, that just feels. You look at how the fairway transitions into the rough; it just looks really awkward. I think it just needs a little bit of smoothing. Okay, and then we're kind of playing down to this large body of water. Yeah, I guess the planting in the just where you just went only trees kind of on the interior of the course. I'm kind of curious what your thinking was in terms of like where do you put the trees? Because it seems like they're just all really spaced out. Okay, so now we got this water fronting this green. This feels like a pretty big departure from the holes we've played thus far. All right, so we're it's 301, but it's into the wind, so we can't make that carry. And I don't think we're gonna play out to the right. I think we're gonna play out to the left here. Okay, so the green's got you got those bunkers kind of serving as a backdrop. And we kind of got a sort of a two-tiered green. It mainly just kind of slopes right to left and back to front. That's got to slow down. I think the bunkering looks really good on that hole. Again, feels quite a departure from the first four holes, and it felt like once I decided I wasn't going for it, it turned into a pretty basic golf hole. Okay, so then we got another par five, reachable one. The fairway kind of narrows into this little channel at the crook of the dog leg, and then it's again you're trying to carry some bunkers on the second shot. I'm guessing it's kind of the green's like on like an upper level here, and then the fairway's down below. So if you bail right on your second, presumably you're gonna have like a blind pitch up the hill over the bunker. Interesting. I'm interested to see how this plays though with my short driver into the wind. I'm probably going to be laying up. Yep. 288, that's a no-go. And we can't really make the carry there either, so I think we'll just club down and give ourselves a pitch in there. Maybe a full lob wedge. But yeah, that elevated green site looks pretty nice. I think one thing I'll say is because you didn't do a ton of planting in between the holes, which is fine. Like, don't feel like you need to plant everywhere, but it would have been nice if the holes were a little closer together, so you don't have all that barren space in between the holes. Um, that's something I noticed. Like, if you look at the routing at Pasatiempo, right, the holes are right next to each other. So it makes, if there's just a few trees in between the holes, it makes sense. Yeah, I think the bunkering looks has generally been terrific on this course. All right, we managed to lay it dead there. It looks like you got kind of some kicker slopes to help to feed the ball around using the ground game if you go for it in two. Not sure there's a all that much of a penalty if you miss the green when you go for it. I guess depending on where the pin is, some of the bunker shots could be really tough. Like missing left is probably, yeah, if the pin's on the left and you miss left, that's not going to be a picnic. Oh, what the heck? Let's go ahead and watch a replay. Just take in the scene a little more. Yeah, so you see all that barren space there. At least you did plant a little around the trees. But if there wasn't as much ground to cover with all those, I think it might look a little better. Okay, so we got sort of a semi-blind tee shot over this ridge. Um, Very minimally bunkered. Okay, and yeah, I think like we see in front of us, there's just this endless field of rough, so not a ton that's visually interesting. So I think this is where maybe you can do a few things with sculpting. Again, don't feel like you. I don't want people to feel like they have to, because I fight this temptation too, where it's like, oh, I gotta plant stuff or I gotta put stuff down. You can't have empty space. I think it takes courage to lay out a course with lots of empty space, because you can use sculpting to kind of add visual interest. So maybe if you just kind of lowered, right, you've got that ridge on the left, which is a good visual anchor. Off to the right, maybe lower some of the land a little more. It's also hard because it's just bathed in shadows, so you aren't really going to be able to see too much in terms of contours. Okay, but we get a nice view of the green. Yeah, this kind of reminds me a little bit of 12 at LA Country Club, where it's just like kind of a nothing blind tee shot up the hill, but then you have this nice shot to a well bunkered boomerang type green. Okay, we got a downhill lie and downwind, so I think the lob wedge should be enough. Very curious what you decided to do with the contours here. I think we knocked it stiff there. Yeah, we did. Okay, so yeah, there's like a front right bowl. So like you could conceivably you could kind of use that slope to putt down into it. I think it goes from red to green a little abruptly. You might make that the back to front slope on that front left section um, a little more pronounced. Okay, short par four. Well, not that short. Um, so we got that narrow little space there to kind of fit our drive into. We can carry it, so I think we'll do that. It is uphill though. All right, second shot up the hill here. I really like how those bunkers just kind of sit in the hill there, the hillside. Oh, you got the mega false front. Huh. Interesting that you decided to make that little tongue in between the bunkers unpinnable. Um, I might have made space for a pin down there. Um, I don't know, because I'm just imagining if I didn't quite keep it up top there, would I catch that ridge and then have it catch the other ridge and just funnel all the way off the green? And I feels like maybe you could have done a little more with the green to make a player think about the angles a bit more. It's basically, what kind of do you want a shorter second shot or not? Hey, Adam. Well, I've got you here. Just a reminder to fill out the sheet if it had slipped your mind, the judging form, because I saw you published. The link is in the. It should be in the OP of one of the World Cup of Design threads. Just bear with me, folks. I want to find it. I think it's in the group stages thread. There we go. I'll just throw it in the chat here in case you needed it. So the link is in that on that post. All right. Sorry for the folks watching the playthrough video. Um, so we got a par three here, long par three. You had all that scary looking bunkering, but you can carry it easily. But it's there. It looks. Adds a little bit of visual intimidation, gives you something to look at. A little bit in between clubs here, but at least our hybrid will carry to the middle of the green, so we'll take that. Oh yeah. All right, so the slopes on this green are a little more gentle, and as is appropriate. You got a like kind of a funnel pin in the back left there. I probably shouldn't watch so many replays when I'm playing on pro difficulty. It's not like the hitting it close is that much of an accomplishment. But I like to see how the ball rolled out. Ooh, we almost had an ace. And we overread it. Okay, so there's the front nine. I like the I do like the I think the lighting and the weather settings are really good here. Feels like a late afternoon in the summertime. Okay, so 10 is this is interesting. We've got a short par 4 and the green is just surrounded by fairway. Hi, Maddie. So I'm gonna guess that the green's probably raised above the surroundings, and let's just bash a driver down there. All right, I think we're pin high, but we gave ourselves a pretty tough putt. I didn't realize the greens extended pretty much all the way to the bunker there. That's interesting. Yeah, it seems like the front, if you just kind of bail short left, I mean, you might end up with an uneven stance. I think that's what he's going for with those little humps and bumps. I think playing short of that isn't really necessarily a viable option. Um, yeah, interesting hole. All right, we got our two putt birdie. Clean card so far. Okay, so this is a long par 4. I don't know if that's like a dry creek or it looks like it's got water in it. Yeah, again, this is, I think, a case where if your routing was a little more compact, you wouldn't have just these sparse trees off to the left, and it just kind of looking a little empty. Okay, so all carry here. This kind of reminds me, the second shot anyway, it reminds me a little bit of number 2 at LA Country Club. All right, I think we just got to play for the back edge of the green here because my 4-iron's not going to make the carry. I might be able to carry it onto the front right, but if I don't, if I miss hit it, it's wet. So I think I'm just going to play for the back of the green. And I'm sure I will have a challenging putt as a result. Oh, it actually turned out pretty good. The wind knocked it down more than I thought. But still, yeah, if you bail long, you've got a very severely downhill putt to deal with. Maybe a little severe for a hole of this length. Um, but again, it's into the wind, and I'm using a short driver, so there is that. Ben, you made it. Probably having lunch with his wife and like being like, yeah, let's cut this early. I gotta go watch Pithy stream. All right, so we've got kind of this meandering creek bed. So I guess you could play. Yeah, maybe we'll play down the right. It's a little hard to tell where I need to aim. It looks like I need to aim it right down the tree line there and maybe hit a little bit of a cut shot here. All right, that worked out. We got 250. I think we'll just probably play for one of the greenside bunkers. Yeah, I think that far fairway there, it just feels a little bit. Excuse me. It just feels a little narrow, little claustrophobic. All right, I think we're just gonna take the water out of play, play for a bunker shot there, and see what that gives us. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this hole feels like it feels very like it feels like it would be at home at like Muirfield Village kind of. Yeah, and I guess the ideal layup would be out to the left here because I think like laying up trying to cross the hazard to lay it up doesn't really give you very much. So I don't know. In a way, it feels like if you take on the riskier layup option, you're not rewarded. You have a worse shot in. Like I would just be, if I'd missed the fairway, I would just be playing for that little patch of fairway short of the creek. Yeah, so like I like the planting looks good over there with the native texture underneath. But then if you pan off to the left here, you just got these like random little pine bushes, and I don't know. That looks a little. I love the long view back to the clubhouse. But like, imagine if there was like a golf hole in there, it would look so much cooler. Um, but yeah, like the little random pine bushy things. I don't know. Okay, so we got an L-shaped green. Kind of looks a lot like 15 at Cypress Point, but it's about 50 yards longer. I think I'm just going to go pin hunting here and kind of play for chips. Let's see what Scott's gonna got up his sleeve here. Well, it held the green. Yeah, pretty, massive back to front slope, very angular looking green. Um, yeah, I feel like this would work a little, maybe a little better with if this was playing downwind for me. Um, Maybe just lop like 15 to 20 yards off this hole, and I think this green works really well. Yeah, I mean when you play on master difficulty, it's a lot harder to play for chips because if you get bad tempo when you go pin hunting, like you really do get you stand to if you like, get like a slow or something like on that one, then I would have been really screwed over. I just play on pro here because sometimes my stream gets a little herky jerky. Okay, so this again, we're back on one of these water holes that just feels a little. I mean, I mentioned it about number five. It just feels out of character with the rest of the course a little bit. I guess you are kind of going for this is kind of the. I suppose this is kind of your ode to Sharp Park though, which did have these kinds of lagoons and things in play. So I get what you're trying to do here. I just don't know if it fits in so well with the rest of the holes. And yeah, it seems like that this hole is just kind of hit a drive in between the bunker and the water. And it's 483, so you kind of, hitting a 3 wood isn't really viable. Um, I think, I actually because I actually designed a Sharp Park inspired course. It's called Maury Point. It's a port from TGC 19, but yeah, I felt like those parallel the double fairways on Sharp Park, they were kind of more. You had a little bit more of an option, or you had to think about it. Yeah, I try and limit how much I use the splash from non-sand. Um, I just try and if it's viable, I try and force myself to chip it. Obviously, on tour rounds, I wouldn't do that though. Okay, I think we need a lofted 9 iron here. Oh, geez. Yeah, tempo's just too easy on pro clubs, you know? Let's go back here so we don't have to loft it. I'm doing the I did the well, I guess it's just on a line back from the hazard. I was gonna say I was doing the Tiger at Augusta 15 illegal drop. Speaking of 1 foot chips, yeah. So that fairway cut, it's yeah. I'm just not a fan. I'll just say it right here. I think I would have just make that heavy rough. I understand you're trying to get the ball to kick into the water more, but it feels very manufactured. I probably would have just lowered the green and just if you want to just move it closer to the water. I mean, the way my stream's going today, I totally could have gotten away with master tempo, but a lot of my streams, it's my game performance suffers. I think streaming and then my laptop overheating, the game performance really tends to suffer, so it makes playing with master tempo impractical. Okay, so 15, we're climbing back up the hill. Got some layered bunkers here. I think we can just kind of make that carry over the first one and then fit a driver into the fairway. But yeah, the last thing I'd want is for someone seeing their course getting showcased and I'm just like chopping it down the side of the hole. So I figured I should switch to pro tempo. All right, so we got like kind of a blind second shot up the hill here. I think this kind of feels like a bit of a transition hole, like you're just trying to get us up a hill here. Which, every routing's going to have a transition hole. It's just a question of how well you can kind of knock some character into it to make it, you know, fit in with the other ones. Okay, so we got some big humps and ridges in this green. It falls off long. We got a nice little gathering point here. Maybe something. I mean, you got the fairway there. Maybe something else to kind of tie things together a bit. I don't know. Bunkering, hard to say. Well, yeah, I mean, part of the problem with the oyster is it's really tight, you know, very tight, very slippery. Um, so yeah, I mean, you can't have too fast a tempo there, or else it's just you can't play it. You gotta go with it. You gotta make sure your tempo's at the right pace. Okay, I apologize to Scottish. Okay, so yeah, we got a downhill par five along the lake. Oh no, that didn't work so well. I don't know. Maybe I got caught asleep at the switch there. All right, so I think we just got to chop it down the fairway here. Make sure we avoid that bunker. Okay, nice looking green site though. Again, like the bunkering on this course, I probably haven't mentioned it enough, but it's really really good. I like how the bunkering sits in the land. I kind of mentioned this on Collick's course. Again, I hate to feel like I'm always comparing those two, but I mentioned some of the sculpting that Jason might have done to make his bunkering, especially the fairway bunkering, pop a little more, and I feel like this course has that in a lot of places. That said, I'm not saying this course is unequivocally better than Jason's, because I think there's probably some things that Jason did better than this course, but just how the bunkering is set into the land is that's the sole thing I'm talking about. Okay, so we got just kind of a big back to front green. We got some little compartments and a massive false front. Justin, right? Justin Collick. I was thinking it was Jason. Ah. Hey Tanner, you're here as I've got 2 holes left to play, and then I'm signing off. Okay, medium length par 3 17th up the hill. This kind of feels like, from the tee anyway, it feels a little bit like Bethpage 17. Maybe not as ridiculous a forced carry. So we'll call it an unrecified Bethpage 17. No, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get to Bellarine today. I might get one in this evening, but I wouldn't count on it. Work just kind of sucks right now. Okay, so we've got little compartments in the green, like that left pin. Those left pins look pretty challenging. Oh man, we had a clean card except that double bogey. All right, so 18, we've got a blind tee shot over the ridge here. I feel like maybe you could have put some, I don't know, like some hood ornament bunkering on the ridge there. That might have been nice. The clubhouse looks nice from a distance, but it looks like our main mission here is to kind of make sure we handle the fairway camber and get our drive to stop in the fairway. Oh no. Well, we misplayed that one. All right, we're in this massive bunker. I think in a way this kind of feels like maybe sort of like the original 18 at Augusta with the bunker in the middle of the fairway and like the massive bunkers set into the hill before the elevated green. But yeah, that massive slope at the front right, that feels pretty Mackenzie-ish. All right. Like this feels like it could have been, one of those like OG Augusta photos that you see sometimes on Twitter. All right, so unfortunately we bogeyed for a back 937. Yeah, lots to like about that course. I thought the bunkering was terrific. Lots of great sight lines off the tees. I thought the planting in places was really excellent. Um, I wish you maybe did a little more of that. And I think what this probably could have benefited most from was a more intimate routing. Um, because you didn't, I completely understand and respect your decision to not want to like throw a bunch of planting in between the holes. Um, but it's that's a lot easier to do if you don't have these massive swaths of space in between the holes. But the individual holes themselves I thought were good. I'd say the exception is some of the holes along the water. They felt very different. Um, I'm not saying I'm not saying you shouldn't have used the lakes or lagoons, but um, they just didn't feel like they totally fit with the rest of the holes. But the rest of the holes, I think for the most part, I really liked. So yeah, um, that'll put a bow on Linda Del Mar, and that will put a bow on my streams for today. So thanks a lot, guys. I guess Tanner's streaming, so we'll go ahead and give him a raid. So thanks for watching, everybody.